Welcome to our 30 Minutes of Excellence session. We want to definitely maximize our time together today. So, my name is Kim Meadows. I work with the National Association of Workforce Development Professionals as the Director of Training. And today I am excited to introduce our presenter. We have James LauRae, and James will be talking about boosting efficiency and job seeker success using AI. So, James, at this point, I will turn it over to you.
All right, thank you, Kim. Hi, everyone. As Kim said, I'm James LauRae, and I'm currently the Economic Mobility Programs Operator for Washington State Employment Security Department. I oversee workforce and BFET programs statewide. I've got 13 years of workforce development history under my belt, and before that, I actually had lived experience and a customer of workforce development programs. Had some mental health challenges, legal barriers, job instability, even a short period of homelessness, and really leverage workforce development to change things around. So I'm really passionate about this work. And I've been using artificial intelligence for over 2 years now. So really, since it first launched, I kind of started dabbling and got kind of pulled in because I saw the benefit right away. So our goal today is really just kind of get you some basic understanding of AI, how to kind of start using it, some acceptable use guidelines. I'm going to give you a little bit of a demo and tutorial, and then answer some questions for you all. Kind of jam-packed session, so I'll probably be moving kind of quickly, then slow down a little bit more in the demo. So pay attention. I know this is recorded and the slides will go out, but we do got kind of a lot of info to cover here. Including just kind of what is the generative AI stuff, Copilot or Chat GPT, a little bit of myth busting, go through a demo, some acceptable use guidelines, talk about some other use cases and experiences I've had with AI tools, and some final takeaways, and then leave it open for some questions for you all. So what is AI? Really, it's just a computer program, right? It's an advanced algorithm, which most of us kind of know from social media or YouTube. The algorithm kind of shows us and predicts what we're going to see. So this just helps predict things more around generative things like writing or research and other tasks is kind of called out here. I like to think of it as a more robust search engine, or Google on steroids. It's kind of like a personal assistant that you get to kind of brainstorm and go back and forth with. And who doesn't want a personal assistant, right? I mean, it's part of the reason it pulled me in. It made things a little bit easier for me. So a little bit of myth busting, right? There's concerns that AI might achieve free will, but like to kind of temper that with we're a long ways away from that, and the AI that we're using would not be that AI. The government, if those things happen, would probably be the people responsible for that. So, we're a long ways away from that. And the stuff we're using is just a really common basic tool. Some people have concerns that AI will make you lazy. And I'd like to just counter that with, do you think using your Excel sheets or calculator makes you lazy? And right, it's a valid concern. Students in classrooms, right, using calculators instead of understanding the fundamentals of math behind the scenes. But really, it's just a tool, and it's going to be up to the individual if they sort of shortcut themselves with using the tool and not thinking through things, or if they use it as a tool to enhance what they're already doing. Some folks will think that AI can't make mistakes, or maybe they've heard about the hallucination, so they're worried that it does make mistakes. And right, AI is coded by humans. It's trained on human information. We as humans are imperfectly imperfect, prone to some error from time to time. So right, there can be some errors and anomalies that pull up in AI, but mostly it is pretty spot on accurate. There's some cool research out there that it's scored like in the 90th percentile on like the bar exam when given it the bar exam question. So it's pretty intelligent. But it's always good to make sure, right, you're kind of double checking things, and just like you would a spreadsheet, right? You see something that's kind of sticks out or something that is, flagging your attention, you dive into it. But all in all, it's pretty spot on. And then, right, the big concern, AI might take our jobs, our customers' jobs. And there is some relevant concern around that, but I don't think about it in that sense, right? It's an evolution of jobs, which we'll talk about, but it's going to simplify our jobs. It simplifies the repetitive tasks, the administrative work, right? Writing reports or summarizing case notes, things like that. It can really simplify and give us more time for human interaction. And kind of on that note, right, we've seen this throughout history as technology advances, jobs advance, and yes, some do become obsolete, like these kind of comical ones when you think back to the past of ice cutters and milkmen and bowling alley pin setters, or more recently, video store clerks, right? For those of us that remember going to Hollywood Video or Blockbuster Video, right? And some of these jobs do go away, but most of all, the markets tend to just evolve, right? And that's where we really come in. It's our empathy, our emotional intelligence, and our ability to connect with other humans that allows us to provide that support when people are in the midst of their career transitions. But also, like this image shows, right? The industries have evolved, and with part of that is like safety. That first image, gentleman, looks like he's under a car that's propped up on a sawhorse. Probably not OSHA compatible in today's standards, right? Versus the one below where they've got, technology and equipment helping them in the production of those vehicles. And again, right, everything just sort of evolves over time. So we have to look at it and adapt with the technologies that are coming out and not necessarily be fearful of them, but how we can leverage them to our benefit. So as for workforce development, we're going to cover some of the best uses, right? And some of the most common, easy things for staff to get started are going to be things like drafting documents, whether it's reports, summarizing case notes, emails, different things that you just need to draft and help you revise those really well. I hear so many people that have a hard time writing a good email when they're a bit frustrated, and AI has helped them quite a bit change the language to be a little bit more soft or collaborative while still calling out like whatever that thing is might be frustrating in a professional way. So it can really help us hone our own skills in that sense and have us double check what we're doing. Really helps you conduct research, brainstorming, really kind of just bouncing ideas and thoughts off of it, almost like you would a coworker or like a personal assistant, and you're just sort of having a conversation with AI in a sense. And a lot of this leads to upskilling. I found this true for myself and so many people that I've introduced AI to, customers and staff alike, that we're able to get such sort of real-time feedback to our questions and things that are going on that we're able to learn a lot more quickly, adapt more quickly, problem solve better, sort of check ourselves a little bit quicker. So really powerful, just personally as a staff, to use this and sort of level up your own abilities. For participants, I see a whole range of benefits here. As you can see, we've got like increasing digital equity. A lot of folks struggle with computers, but AI is relatively easy to use, so it's not as clunky as just other things, right? It's very user-friendly because of the way that we communicate with it using what we call natural language. It helps troubleshoot barriers sort of in real time for participants if they're struggling with a certain situation, whether it's something that we kind of commonly help with, like transportation or childcare, or they've got like an ant infestation in their apartment and they don't know what to do, right? It can help you troubleshoot those things really quickly and give you really great resources to your local area and so much more. And this in turn helps boost job seeker confidence when they start to be able to problem solve for themselves, sort of look at their situation more holistically. I've worked with a number of people that had robust and diverse job titles and careers over their span of their working experience. And AI was able to help them sort of see that in a bigger picture. And like, hey, you've got all this experience and you should go for a role maybe a little bit more advanced in what you're actually shooting for. Helps enhance the job search, drafting resumes, cover letters, helping with interview prep, sending that dreaded kind of awkwardish follow-up email after an interview where you don't know exactly what to say, but you want to thank the interviewer for their time. It just helps in so many little areas that people have challenges and struggles communicating, for themselves in those certain, situations that we help people with. career transitions, salary negotiations, drafting like a response counter offer is really helpful with these tools. Okay, I've been flying by the seat of my pants here because I jumped on a little late. So let me get into my Copilot little demo mode here. So got a few things sort of that I'm going to copy and paste in here, but you'll be able to see how quickly this really works. Give me just 1 second. So I'm going to copy in a prompt, and I'm going to come in here. This is pretty real time, so I'm just finding a job description on WorkSource WA. I'm gonna just copy and paste like the relevant things that are needed. Come back here and add a little placeholder for it. And what I'm doing here, and this is a simplified view version, you could completely copy and paste a resume in here, minus any PII. We're gonna asking to act like an experienced career and job coach and create a competitive professional cover letter for a driver position based on the job description below. My client has 2 years experience as an Uber driver, 3 years in retail, 2 years in fast food, 1 year as a shift supervisor. Use keywords from the job description and focus on the most transferable skills for this position. And then I copied and pasted that. And you'll see it rather quickly comes up with a, albeit kind of generic because we gave it very basic information, it comes up with a resume here that is able to be copy and pasted and adapted a little bit, or you can work with it more and give it follow-up information. Usually I do a little thing, I do give it follow-up information, but we're going to skip into the cover letter phase because we're shortish on time. But right now I'm basically just saying, thanks, now create a cover letter based on the resume, pulling out high-level skills and experiences across the person's work experience. And now it drafts a pretty reasonably good cover letter in here. Paragraph form, a few bullet points, and it really does a great job of getting us some of those basics. And again, the conversation you have with your job seeker will make a difference in the further details that you put into the prompt here. And you can always add those details after the initial one. You could add those follow-up details in there. One of the ones I really like to use it for is actually the interview question prep to help them with mock interviews. So this one I'm asking for kind of the most common interview questions based on the position and industry, but also asking it to give me what the hiring manager is looking for by asking that question. And sometimes it's kind of obvious and upfront, but sometimes it's not as obvious. So this can really help a job seeker or ourselves when we're looking for a position understand what is expected and what they're really trying to gain out of that question. And then, you can sort of chat back and forth with this and talk about your own experiences or the job seeker's experiences and give it some of that information, and it'll help you draft some general talking points and how to approach that. So it's really, really helpful for easy document creation, and also to take it like a level further in how to strategize, like reorganizing the bullet points in your resume to put the most impactful ones up top, because when people are skimming, and we know how fast they skim resumes, you only look at the first 1 or 2 bullet points and something's got to grab your attention. And it can help us reorganize things really kind of just really instantaneously. It's really great. Okay, so that was a fly by the pants resume, cover letter, and interview prep that I completed within just a couple of minutes there. And again, you can add these follow-up details afterwards that make it even more tailored and beneficial, right? We all know tailoring that resume and cover letter is where the magic happens, and this can really help you do it. That was just the brief example to give you all. Want to give you some acceptable use guidelines so nobody's getting in trouble out there, because some agencies are adopting this, some don't have any policies or guidelines around it. So some basic common sense things, but we all know common sense isn't so common. So it's always worth putting the fundamentals out there. Don't include any protective or sensitive information, PII, IRS data, social security numbers, banking info, names, right? Leave all of that out. I'll copy and paste a resume or cover letter, but leave out the person's name and other information, right? So that's okay. Along with that sensitive information is possibly agency specific information. If it's publicly available, like mission, vision, values, a lot of strategic plans or outcome reports are publicly available on websites. So those are usually okay. I've used those to help me write grants and have been successful at that. But if it's an internal, not intended for public view, probably want to be mindful to keep those out of the AI realm. You want to make sure you're not basing any final decisions solely on any AI generated content, right? You still have to be responsible for your own work product. This is something we need to instill in our customers and participants, right? If they want it to be an accurate reflection of their skills and abilities and not overselling themselves, which ends up sort of shooting themselves in the foot down the line, right? Somebody with a high school education that's presenting as a PhD educated individual, it's wasting everybody's time. So we want it to be an accurate reflection. We want to make sure we're understanding the knowledge that is presenting by it and doing our due diligence to do any double checking we may need to. And then a good rule of thumb, is thinking twice about what you're putting in the prompt. State agencies have public records disclosures and retention policies, and other agencies have other considerations. So one of the things we like to say is, if you don't put anything in there that you wouldn't want attached to your face and a headline in like the front page of the news or the nightly news, right? If you're okay with that, then it's probably going to be okay. But if you would not like those two things to be correlated in front of everybody, then it's probably not what you should be entering into a prompt. So I kind of mentioned how it's different than chatting with, or different than Google, because you use natural language, and how it conducts research and summarizes that data. I'm going to breeze through a few of these since we don't have a whole lot of time. Some of the key parts here are like the role, the task, the background, intended audience, instructions and guidelines, and the response format, which you can, have it respond in simple terms like a fifth grader, or write you a PhD level dissertation on something. So right, how you ask it to respond, whether it's an email or a report, will make a difference. And I do have a little quick example here that'll go through each of those and kind of give you an idea of what that looks like, right? Act like a workforce development program manager or a job coach, etc. A lot of the magic happens in drilling down and asking follow-up questions, giving it additional feedback, providing additional context, or reframing it kind of from another perspective. Simple example on the side that you can look at of, asking it for virtual icebreakers instead of other ones. We've got a little bit of other use cases, was sort of my experience at Community Action of Skagit County. I wasn't even supposed to have a caseload, but managed a caseload of folks, grew the employment programs, hired additional staff, took on additional roles, used AI tools to write SOP manuals. I was able to just do a lot more because I leveraged these tools. And I helped staff do this as well, and have led an initiative here at ESD to train our agency staff. And we've actually got an AI adoption plan that we're a part of now. But it just has been able to create everything from life skills curriculum to helping me write grant proposals that were successful in obtaining additional funding. So the sky's kind of the limit with how you can use it if you use it properly. And I want to challenge you all to, just try using it in the next 30 days. Start experimenting and using like an AI tool instead of Google or Bing or whatever your search engine is. Try things like asking AI about itself. Try some fun stuff in your, personal time, like asking for meal prepping, or plan a weekend trip or a dinner date or something of those lines. You'll find the conversation that you kind of have with AI like develops the more you use it and you kind of play with it. Final tips and takeaways, right? Don't include the sensitive information, don't include sensitive agency documents, don't make any of those final decisions without thinking twice. Think twice before you put things in it. And remember, you're ultimately responsible for your work. But with all this quick information, I want to reiterate, like, the work that you do matters, right? Helping streamline our workday gives us more time to be present and available for our customers and the participants in our programs. So really look at it as a tool to help us be more intentional and present with our customers. And with that, I'll open it to questions for the last few minutes. And a little plug here, I love to get feedback from folks. So this QR code or this link, and if you type in AI WFD, you'll be able to give me some survey result feedback, some simple questions, super easy. Really appreciate any feedback so I can do better. I know this was rushed because I tried to condense like a 60-minute thing into 30 minutes. But any questions you have in the couple minutes we have left, I'm happy to answer.
Thank you, James. So if you have any questions for James, feel free to put it in the chat box, or you can take yourself off of mute and ask any questions. You will get a copy of the slideshow and the PowerPoint presentation as well. So, Kimberly, you say, can we get a copy of the prompts used? And that is going to be in is that in the PowerPoint?
I included an additional document when I emailed you, Kim. So if you could send this out with the PowerPoint, I do have this AI for job seekers, goes through prompt structure, resumes, cover letters, salary negotiation, LinkedIn optimization. So this is included for you guys to kind of get started too, because templates do help us get started and how to ask the questions. And once you start to understand it, you're like, okay, let me ask some follow-up questions.
Awesome. Yeah, so I do have that document, so I'll get all that sent out to you. And then we have a question: how does one choose between the AI options? So there are a lot of options out there. This particular question says Copilot versus Chat GPT. Do you have some tips you can give us on that?
It's going to be personal preference or possibly driven by agency policies. At ESD, we're restricted from going to Chat GPT, but the agency can use Copilot because we're based off of Microsoft and it's sort of built into the ecosystem. We can only have the free one, can't create accounts yet. So it might depend on your agency. My previous agency was like the Wild West. They didn't have any guidelines. So I had some prudent guidelines of my own, but I gravitate towards Chat GPT. I find it more useful and beneficial. I use it like on my phone on the side of work while I'm working because I like that interface better and I like the responses. But I also use Copilot on my work computer when I, just need simple, quick things. Yeah, try them out and see what you like.
Awesome. Any other questions? Feel free to type into the chat box. I know we started a little bit late, so if you have some additional questions, I think we can hang out for just a couple more minutes.
Yeah, I'm good to hang out. I'm happy to answer questions. I know it was a little bit rushed.
Well, and thank you for the information. So we will definitely get that out to you all. You'll have the recording. You'll have all of the resources that James talked about, including the PowerPoint and the templates that have all of the prompts on them as well. I see Akshay says Perplexity is also very useful. Akshay, glad you brought that up because Perplexity does cite sources. So they will give you the actual sources where they got the information from. So that's I think a little different than Chat GPT. Am I right on that?
Chat GPT and Copilot do cite their sources at the bottom of the response, but it doesn't cite it as like kind of professionally. Perplexity is more of a research-based like AI versus everything AI. But yes, I know quite a few other like people that really like Perplexity. That's something I haven't actually played around with much, so that's on my to-do list because there are really cool, great tools out there. The image creation you can do with like the Dolly and other things, they're fun. I know so many people have written like children's books because it's just so accessible to be like, make me an image of this and then write a little story. And they write like the book with their children. So, I mean, that's like a fun little thing to do.
Yep. And I think the moral of the story today is to not be afraid of AI. Right.
Hmm.
I was kind of like you said earlier in the presentation. I was a little weary at first because I felt like I was typing things into ChatGPT that I could do, but it would take me longer to do it. So I kind of felt I was being lazy. But like you said, at the end of the day, what it really does is it frees up your time for you to then do the things that only humans can do, like interact with your clients. So
Hmm.
look at it as job efficiency. How can I make my job more efficient? How can I better serve my clients? And you can better serve your clients by being more accessible to them. And AI can, take away some of the other tasks
Yeah,
that you have. So, James, thank you again. Thank
you're
you to each of
welcome.
you for attending with us today on our April 30 Minutes of Excellence. Again, we have these sessions every fourth Wednesday, and you will have this recording and all of the information available to you by the end of the week. I'll get that all emailed out to you before Friday. So we appreciate you all joining us. Thank you, James, and hope you all have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday.